So pose-to-pose method, two methods, keying set intervals. And this means what you're doing is instead of you're blocking your storytelling poses, and then when you're done with that, you start keying at set intervals throughout your shot. You start broad strokes, of course. So in the beginning, you'll maybe, this is just an example, nothing exact, but maybe you'd start keying every 24 frames. Or maybe you would start keying every 2 seconds, depending on how long your shot is. And then you make a key every second. Then you make a key every half a second. And so you're capturing the bigger poses first, and then you're slowly working your way down to the point that you're maybe getting every 6, every 4 frames. That's your blocking, right? So you end up with something like that for blocking. Pros are, it's fast and easier to block. When I say easy, I mean, it's just like, all right, I'm going to key every second, key every half second. It's a little bit more of a very formulaic way to create your poses. And you're not paying attention to when the body is hitting main poses or directional changes. It's just a little bit more mechanical in terms of how you're choosing to key. It's easy to absorb changes because everything is nice and organized. You key everything together, right? The weaknesses are the poses tend to be a little weaker, a little less pushed. And the reason why is because you're not paying attention to your main poses. You're just paying attention to, all right, I'm keying every second. So you might be missing some of the main, like, bigger extremes that are happening in between your intervals. But that's okay because you know this is the method, right? You're trying to do something that's very organized and formulaic. And so it makes it very easy to block. And honestly, that's a really good thing because it's not always easy to block. It's not always easy to capture the mechanics of a character. It takes time. So then finally, last thing is the method I use more of mostly, and this is posing the extremes or the change of directions. So wherever there's a change of direction, that's where we make our pose. And of course, you begin with broad strokes. You start with story poses, key poses, secondary poses or secondary actions. Then you go to the breakdowns and the necessary in-betweens. And the pros and cons, of course, you get strong push poses, which is great. You have more creative control. You can create cartoony animation, and it's easy to absorb changes. And then cons, it's a little more advanced, can be a little harder. So depending, you have to read it out yourself and see how it goes. You can even do a mix of it. Like part of your shot, you could start doing this, and then if there's a section that just gets really hard, like, forget it. I'm just gonna go like on set intervals, and if that makes it a little bit easier.